and Brent and I were talking before we pushed. Well, I say we. I say we because it's like we both do it, but I push the button. So I'm like, it's the button's on this side. But anyway, Brent and I were talking before we pushed the button, and the conversation was around being succinct and clear in communication. And it was around this time of year that I signed up for, what was it called? Remember the thing that they did? It was in the learning space, and it was, hey, we're going to bring all these executives out and we're going to march them up in front of you. And it's this really, really well produced thing, and you're going to learn about leadership from, the one that jumps out at me is Bob Iger, or you're going to learn about sales from Daniel Pink, or you're going to learn. I think it was Masterclass. Did you ever see that, or did you ever watch any of those? Neil deGrasse Tyson did one. Um, the lady from Spanx did one. Did you ever look at one of those?
No.
Okay, so $180 for a subscription for a year. Same kind of thing, like recurring revenue model. So annual subscription, you have access to all the content inside the library. Content aggregator pulls together all of the content from multiple sources, but sources being the talent that they bring in. And Neil deGrasse Tyson was on there, and he said that he did an interview with local TV or whatever, and they chopped it up. And he's like, God, you completely missed the point that I was trying to make by chopping it up. It was all delivered out of context. It sounded good, but it was delivered out of context. So from that point forward, he decided that the way that he was going to solve for it is he was just going to speak in sound bites and just keep things super tight. So one of the things, after listening to that a couple of years ago, I started doing it. So that's where things like looking for leadership start with a mirror come from. Like, that's the foundation of saying the same thing and pull the string back and repeat the same crap. And it's, wow, that almost rhymed. But that was it. It was like, okay, here's the point. Here's the thing that reinforces it, that follows the point, and then here's the question to get people thinking about it as we exit the point, right? So there's the point, there's the context, and then there's the call to action, which is the question. And I've been working on that for years now, at least 3 years. And it's helped me be more clear and succinct with communication, even though I still kind of get rambly. But so if you're looking for something interesting, Masterclass is kind of cool. And if you're looking to get better at that type of communication, that session, that thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson did, which wasn't the focus, but the thing that he did and the thing that he shared was one of the things I took away. Brent, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I learned that when I was working in television as a electronic news gatherer, they used to call it back in the day.
Hold on, what's an electronic news gathering?
Electronic news gathering was what they called it. This is pre-internet, people. Yeah, so they there wasn't anything except for apparently ENG was the acronym they used. But I worked at a small TV station, and I interviewed a lot of people and realized, and then watching the news to learn how to produce the news, you start to see it, and you start to see the little games that are played, and then when you're driving in a car, here's the big aha moment for anybody. This will blow your mind. Well, maybe it won't for most of you, but anyway, so you're driving in the car with the news person, supposed to be an objective observer.
Okay.
And every last one of them, I don't care how nice they were, I don't care how not nice they were, I don't care what type of personality they are, whatever. When you're working in news, you wake up in the morning. If you're the anchor, all you do is read stuff. So you can be dumb as a bag of hammers. and you can do just fine. Just look pretty and you're good.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. The news people, they have an extremely short amount of time to get something produced for the 5 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, and the 10 o'clock. 5, 6, and 10, right? And you've got to get out there and get the story. And every last one of them sits in the car when you're in the morning and they're writing the story. They don't know what in the hell they're going to get. They know exactly what they want to get. They know exactly how they want to tell the story, and they know exactly how they want to bend the story. They've got it all pre-figured out in their little heads as to exactly what the story is that they're going to capture, and they go and they get it. And when you're in the
hold on, Brent. So they're writing like the copy, like they're doing that in the field, and they're saying, okay, well, here's the arc that we're going to go through, and this is the journey that I'm going to take people on, and this is the response. They're literally doing that day by day.
Lots of I statements. So you're the videographer, producer guy. You see them in the morning, and it's always, I want to tell a story about how bad it is that this asshole governor is doing this, that, or the other thing. So I've got appointments scheduled for us to go get an interview with this person and that person that was screwed because of this, that, or the other thing. And so we got to get out of here. We might have enough time to stop and get some coffee. So jump in the car, and they're already starting to write the story that they want to tell. So
before the information happens,
before they know what the person's going to say or anything like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So everything's planned. There's always a shtick involved. One guy, I remember I was standing there, and this guy called the news out and just wanted to tell him about how there was a big swath of beautiful desert land in Tucson that had been that was purchased, and they were going to throw up a strip mall or something. I can't remember what it was, but this dude that lived in the area was just pissed and just not happy about the fact that they have very strict guidelines where these bulldozers that come in and flatten the land are only supposed to go up to a certain point. Well, they infringed outside of that point and stripped out the desert outside of their area, not even by that much. And so the guy just started very calmly telling his story, and the news guy stopped him and said, listen, I'll tell the story. You give me the emotion.
Okay.
So we started over, and the dude just went off the rails. He just lost his shit and was like, these guys they're raping the land. And he just went nuts. And the news reporter was like, yeah. You could see he's just drooling, going, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all bullshit. Anyways, I'm a rambling guy. Oh yeah.
But it's so a couple of cool things that came out of that. Number one, design. Like everything has a place, everything has a purpose, everything has they're orchestrating, and they're orchestrating for whatever agenda it is that they want to serve, like however they want.
And we all have our own agenda.
So they're orchestrating, and when they go in there and they orchestrate, they've got a plan.
Yep.
And at the point of first contact, they may need to adjust the plan.
Yep.
And that adjustment of the plan means they're either changing the plan, their plan, or they're changing the way that they're interacting with the people who are part of the plan, unbeknownst to the people who are part of the plan. there,
Most of the
there's going
time.
to be some kind of change. So a little bit of like Geppetto type stuff, like there's moving the strings and kind of getting people moving around, right?
Yep.
Which is really cool. And the reason I say it's really cool is because there are too many times where you think things just kind of happen. Think about reality TV shows. Do you ever watch a reality TV show and at one point in time you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. How the heck did they get those people together in that thing to do that thing? But then you watch the next reality TV show or the next one or the next one or the next one, and you realize they all are doing the same kind of things. It's like they attract the same kind of people. Oh, wait a second. This might be my version of reality TV, not reality TV. And it's, I guess, the point that I would pull together with all of that is be careful what version of reality TV you're building inside your organization to drive the objective that you're looking to drive.
Yeah. I'll give another insight into this, and there will be a purpose for this. That if and I always knew this, but I never really said it the same way. But it's similar to how you heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say, "Hey, you got to talk in sound bites." Yes. Um, the other one is if you don't really understand or know how wrong all media is until they do a story on something you're an expert in.
Yep.
Or you know, and you realize if you apply that to all of it, then you start to really see how you can't really trust or believe in any of it, because the perfect example would be, at least for me, when it's personal to you. So my daughter, when she was 9 years old, she became the youngest woman to swim from Alcatraz to San Francisco Bay. And they always have to have tug on your heartstrings, right? And all this kind of stuff. And Linda had just recently been diagnosed. She'd gotten her lupus diagnosis. Emma's mom, my wife, and the news went off on just that to make more drama in the story than it really was. Because Linda swam with her. Linda was like, I'm not throwing her in the shark-infested waters without me there. I'm going to be there. So they both have their little wetsuits on, and they're getting ready to go. And they're interviewing her, and she explains that her doctor told her, yeah, it's probably not a good idea for you to go do this. But so the whole story became around how heartbreaking it was that her mother was, and just how brave she was, that she was going against doctor's orders but she's going to swim with her daughter anyways. And it just became this big thing. And there was just a whole bunch of little things like that. It's like, well, it's kind of the story, yes, but you sort of blew it way out of proportion, and it's not really that. So it's a thing.
And it's always a thing, or often a thing.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's the same way we do. So to swing this around to learning and development, do we go into stories, and when we're developing training, do we have a narrative ahead of time before we start creating or training or presenting or teaching somebody else? In many cases, I think we should, right? We always have objectives that we're trying to meet.
Right.
But how real are those objectives or goals, and how impactful are they? Or are we just trying to tell a story?
Yeah. Well, and the other one to ask in there. So there's how real are the objectives? Well, do we know what they are?
Yeah.
And what's do we understand it from both sides?
Yeah. There you
Like,
go.
do we know the objectives from both the learner perspective, the person that person works with or works for or serves, and your objective? Because sometimes we get super excited about technology and we're like, ooh, this would be a great way for me to justify this investment into this technology and roll it out across the organization. I mean, imagine if everybody was walking around with AR, VR glasses and they just had the world in their hands, not the big goggles, like the little glasses that they're all like, we have, we have a bunch of Tony Starks out there, where, where uh, the the tool is embedded into their glasses. Like, could you imagine a coach that's just there with you all the time, and when you're having a conversation with someone, it nudges you and reminds you, pause and ask a question here.
I was just going to say, mine would be like, shut up, shut up, shut up, take a breath, let Mike talk. Ask Mike a question.
It's like and you can go through and you could justify it too. And you could say, hey, I'm doing it because that's the right thing for the person or the right thing for the business. Um, and then you could also go through and say, um, am I allowing my biases to get in the way of what I think the right thing is? And is it really the right thing? And this is where, we've talked about it before, but this is where that hexagon really can kind of come in and play an important role. It's like, what's the specific problem? Who has it? Who's impacted by it? Who cares about the people who have or impacted by it? And then why does it persist? Why is it important to solve? And we just went through that pretty quickly, but that gets that top half of the hexagon, or the Mary Poppins approach to problem solving. And it's those questions though that help gain perspective, because really the real story was about your daughter swimming from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Like,
And being the youngest to do it, right? I mean, that was supposed, and it really it was, but they just highlighted, and they just had to come up with something
sure.
unique, over and over again. And when they would do the stand-ups, right, when they would go live, before that, you see the news guy over there writing everything, writing the script and practicing speaking it out loud over and
Oh,
over and over
okay.
and over again.
That's cool.
So, you think they're live and you think it's all spontaneous and all going on. Oh, no, 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 no. It's all pre-scripted, pre-planned, conversational. If he's going to be going, let's go over here, I'm going to say hi to, let's see, hey, Emma just came out of the water. They talk to him beforehand, before it all happens. It's like, hey, we're going to be there when you get out of the water, and so
so to Craig's point, scripts work.
Yep. I'd go with yes, especially when you're under pressure. And that's what I was going to say. When I finally stopped, was I don't blame the news folks for doing what they do. They have to put something out. And that's what I meant when I said, listen, you've got a small chunk of time in the morning to get all the content you need to produce a show that there's people paying money to advertise on and all that kind of stuff. The 5, 6, and 10, you've got to produce something. You have to. It's the only way that product can get created, is if you get as much done ahead of time and pre-plan as you possibly can, because there's a lot of work that has to be done once you get back to the studio. So
what's the planning process from an L&D perspective? So like, how we're getting ready to go into the new year, and I know it's going to surprise people, but I imagine we're going to run into a number of the same challenges next year that we ran into this past year, meaning business isn't growing fast enough. People are, we need to hire more people. We need to make sure that we get the people working on whatever the thing is that they're working on. We need to, like, whatever the challenge is, we need to improve profit. we need to reduce expense, we need to increase growth. Like we've got all of these things that are happening. We're going to get feedback from people that our performance review process is flawed and needs to be fixed. We're going to have to update our onboarding thing. Like all of these things are going to happen
all the things
next year, the same way they happened this past year.
We're scaling up from a few dozen people to several hundred, and it all has to be done this year.
So what's the first part look like? Let's what's the first part of the planning piece? And Craig, thanks for letting us know that you can see all the comments today. I did not do anything technically different. I don't know. The one thing is that today when we went live, actually, this is the thing that was technically different. All of the different ones were connected to each other. Meaning you had already connected your stream before we pushed the go live button, and maybe that helped on can see all the comments.
Or everybody's actually in the same
stream
right. This time.
What's the first stage of planning? Like so I'm the news reporter and I'm the learning professional that's getting ready to go through and attack this thing. What's the first thing where do we start from a planning perspective?
I thought you were asking the chat room.
No, just you.
Maybe we'd wait 2 minutes.
Yeah, because we'll be waiting for a while and we don't have the music yet. But I don't know. Did you have the snow flurries in there yesterday, or did you change this and add snow flurries?
No, I cleared it up. There was before I was it was just I had it kind of fuzzed out in the background, and then I made it clear.
There you go. So I guess, and maybe this is the wrong way to take it, but the planning process, what's the initial planning process look like when saying, hey, you know what, we've got a problem inside the business that I think it's important for us to go out there and solve with some kind of learning or some kind of training or some kind of an experience or some kind of resource. What's the first step?
Well, I think we need to assess and define the problem, all right, or figure out if there is in fact a problem. So you say we have a problem. Typically what it is somebody has told you and said, hey, this is a training problem, so let's go to the training guys. Hey, training guys, we have a problem. First, do they really? And is it, do they really have that problem? You need to confirm that, yes, in fact, there is a problem. Now, sometimes you don't have to do too much other than ask a couple questions, or they did a really good job ahead of time to be able to show you, yes, they didn't just say, here's a problem. They said, here's a problem, and here's why it's a problem. And they explain it to you. And you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. That's obvious. That's a problem. You still may not be convinced that it's a training problem or that training can solve it. So then you're going to have to go out and assess. So to your point, who's involved with the problem, right? Who's impacted by that problem? Who's causing the problem? Who's perceived to be causing the problem currently? What's the thing that's going wrong? Who cares about it? All of those things in the Mary Poppins umbrella. Except we just call it assessment, right? We have to go out and assess what's going on, what the topic is, what the content is.
What are some mistakes that people make with assessment?
Skipping it.
Why would you skip assessment?
Because you're busy. Same with the news people, right? It's like, hey, training. It's the operations guy. It's the executive. He's like, hey, we need training on. I need a 1-day workshop for my leaders out on the floor. We need it ASAP. ISO 9002 audit is coming in, and we got to make sure all these people are trained up on XYZ. It's got to be done, and it's got to be done in 2 weeks. We need something. So you're like, All right, fuck it. Let's skip assessment and just start. Let's build it. Let's make it happen. You know,
Check out Craig's comment. Does it need to be training?
does it need a training? I love that. Yeah, it's so true. We, yeah,
The
I know most of it is, but you know, that's yeah, such the majority of what we do is forced upon the businesses by legal compliance,
yeah.
whatever. It's not about learning.
I think it's
I made a comment on somebody's post yesterday. Somebody else commented about it. They're like, you know, this is amazing. It was like they'd heard it for the first time, and I'm like, oh man, not more of this. You know, people that build the products that L&D uses. You know, somebody was like, they don't care about learning. And I'm like, wow, this is news to you.
it's you know what it's I used to fall into that trap of how could you not have heard of this before? And and then you realize, you know what? People are just kind of whooped in their way through whatever. and it's the focus. It's because hey, you know what? Right now, the most important thing that I've got going on is I'm behind on paying my bills, or I'm behind on I've got somebody sick in the house, or I've got a parent that I need to take care of, or like whatever thing is. And it just creates so much noise out there um, that I have to remind myself often that the first time somebody hears something really is the first time they hear it. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily that that's the first time that it was said around them, but it's the first time that they were actually aware and in the right situation and could hear it. And that's where I get into that whole piece of, hey, there are things that are said, there are things that are heard, and there are things that are remembered. And very rarely are all three of those the same. Again, another shout out to Neil deGrasse Tyson for helping me get better at sound bites, even though we've never met in person. But like that is repeated over and over again. And there are a lot of people, the first time they hear that, they're like, holy crap, that's like, where'd you come up with that? And it's work. It's like, hey, you know what? I know that I've been in an environment where I've said things and I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. And it's really hard to remember the details when what you're hearing is wah, 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 right? Like, so and the wah, 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 wah is the result of all of the other baggage that's being brought to that part of the conversation. So then the next piece is validate. What did you hear me say? Or if you're on the other side and someone's communicating with you, say, here's what I heard you say. And it's amazing what ends up happening when you start bridging those gaps. So said, heard, remembered, and it's a lot of the stuff that gets said is not necessarily heard or is heard differently. And if it's heard differently, then it's going to be really hard to remember.
It is amazing how hard it is sometimes. It sounds really easy when especially when you're talking to people, they don't even have to ask if you've been kind of trained to repeat what they just said to you. Let me make sure I heard this right and repeat it back. It's amazing sometimes how in your head, you know you heard it and you are prepared to speak it back to them. And then your mouth opens and the words don't come out at all. Like what
Sure.
you know is in your head, what you heard, you're replaying it in your head and you're like, I can say this, I can say this. And you start to repeat it back to them. And it is different. At the very least, it's just different. At the worst, it's not at all what they just said. But the words, you still have the words that they said in their voice ringing in your head, and spitting them out is the recall part, just isn't as easy as it sounds. And it has to be a practice. You have to get good at hearing somebody else's words and repeating them back to them. And you have to just repeat that a lot.
Yeah. And you get into this whole kind of um, yeah, a lot of people will talk about reflective listening, right? And it doesn't have to be the same words. It can be your interpretation of those words, and then it's up to the person. And this is conversation, because it's up to the person on the other end to come back and say, "Ooh, okay, tell me what that word means, whatever they use that's a little bit different, like what it means to them."
Yeah. Why did you
You know,
say it that way?
yeah,
Yeah.
why, yeah, and be super careful about the question, because if I say why in the wrong context, well, all of a sudden I'm a jackass. Like I'm just mean and I'm being combative and whatnot. So you start to incorporate words like, or questions like what and how. Like, how did you get there? What made you think that? What prompted that thing? Like that kind of stuff. To Craig's point, good, fast, cheap, pick two, similar in idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw somebody created somebody vibe coded an actual, like, an interaction. It's like
That's awesome.
with those three things and levers, and they coded it so the two of the levers could be slid over to the right, one had to be over to the left, and if you tried to push one over to the left, the other one would automatically shove over to the right, so you could never have all three. And I thought it was a brilliant interactive visual of that idea. Those are the types of things that really stick for people, because we hear that phrase all the time. That's another one, right? That's another good soundbite. Good, fast, cheap, pick two. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So do we want to get in the news? 30 minutes into this thing?
Yeah, we probably got about 2 minutes to go through it. So sure. Yeah, let's go. Do you still have my screen to share?
You have to share it on your end.
Oh, well, I did once.
When?
A while ago.
I missed it. I must have been looking in a different direction.
I think you were looking away. And I kind of knew that too. I'm like, oh, he's not seeing the whatever notification he gets. I should probably do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. At some point, we're just going to start commenting to each other in the chat. Be like, hey, slow down. Speed up.
I'm going to have secret hand signals, and I'm going to be like, when I do that.
That's the indicator.
Yeah. When Brent scratches his
maybe
right ear.
That's the theme song that we should be doing. We should be like, a rambling man. It should be our theme song.
That's totally my theme song. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry you have to listen.
I'm with you.
I need I should vibe code a translator that takes, I'm rambling, and then the closed captions at the bottom say, please, it says like, please hold, and then when I'm done, it just summarizes it, and all you have to do is read 2 or 3 sentences.
You get some like live closed captioning, and the live closed captioning starts to shrink as you start rambling. You get further and further away from the point. The closed captioning starts to get blurrier and blurrier and blurrier, and you're just kind of like, oh, now I have a visual cue. Add clarity.
No, the closed captions actually just starts commenting and going, geez, okay, here he goes again. This is literally what he's trying to say. And the closed caption machine just sort of takes over and says, you can go get a cup of coffee. He'll be done in about 5 minutes.
Ready, go.
All right. Breaking news. Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Here's the latest news and trending developments in the learning and development sector. Breaking industry news. Skillwell merges with Realize It. Has anybody ever even heard of either one of these two?
I have not.
Well, there you have it. They've merged.
Look at that precision skilling market.
Ooh, did we know there was a precision skilling market?
I do now.
You know what? And this merger actually signals a major consolidation in that market that we don't know exists.
Oh, Wendy said got kicked back. So I don't know what got kicked back. I don't know if it was the captions. This is the whole 2-minute thing.
Oh, well, let's just move on and make sure we cover it all before we run out of time. Fitch Learning acquires Moody's Analytics Learning Solutions. Fitch Learning. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of it. Sorry, moving on. Global and government initiatives. Apple launches Virtual Manufacturing Academy. Oh, that's interesting. Apple announced the expansion of its Apple Manufacturing Academy with new virtual programming today. Originally a physical hub in Detroit, this virtual expansion is designed to train small and medium sized U.S. businesses in advanced manufacturing and innovation techniques free of charge. That's kind of cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I'm digging on that. Trinity College in Dublin receives €2 million for language tech. I'm gonna skip that. UNESCO disaster training in Caribbean. Ooh, I love a good training disaster. Oh, no, it's training for a disaster, just in case. UNESCO launched a regional training program today for Caribbean media professionals. The curriculum focuses on using AI, drones, and geographic information systems, GIS, to combat misinformation and improve reporting during disasters following the impact of Hurricane Melissa. Okay. I'm going to skip that one. Boy, can I just go off on that?
Look at this. Best of DevLearn Demo
There
Fest.
we go. Events happening today. Hey, has everyone signed up for that? The eLearning Guild is hosting a webinar today showcasing the winners of the recent DevLearn Demo Fest. This is a popular event for instructional designers to see real-world projects that solve specific business problems using tools like XAPI and mobile learning. So, yeah, it is a good way. If you weren't able to go to DevLearn, it's a great way to see to just get a crash course in what everyone that was at DevLearn thought were the better of the solutions. So the only problem with that is that if you're in a niche like training field or training, trying to solve different training problems, you could go to Demo Fest and see the most awesome thing that's totally perfect for you and kind of the thing you want to be doing, but nobody else is interested in it. So it's cool to you, and that's the one that you were psyched to see, but nobody else is in your niche, and so they don't win. And so there's this perception of the ones that won were the only ones that were, quote unquote good or useful or whatever. But at least when I was there and when we first started doing the Demo Fest thing, we literally had maybe 10 tables.
No kidding.
People. We couldn't even find enough people to do Demo Fest in the early days. People were scared. Nobody wanted to show off their work. I had a former colleague that I'd worked with at Intel who'd done this amazing spreadsheet. He was a whiz at Excel, and I can't remember exactly what he had done, but he had basically in one spreadsheet had automated a significant part of all of the training operations. And it wasn't like super complex or anything, but it was exceptionally useful, and it cut time down, and it had all these great business impact. And I said, would you please, you have got to demo this. This is such a great solution. And so he did, but I can remember at the event, it's a spreadsheet. So people weren't like everyone wanted to see the latest in virtual reality and whatever the whiz bangy, thingamajigger was. But his solution was really, really impressive from solving a problem and an operations perspective and what we all deal with. And so anyways, so did you do that? And I didn't see.
I think yeah, that's awesome. No, you did that yourself. What's the Twain quote? The rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated. Was that
something like that?
Yeah. So it's like the rumors of the death of Excel are greatly exaggerated. I mean, it's still one of those things that continues to persist as a viable solution to solve a specific problem or specific problems in a specific time or place. And
and relatively speaking, quick. You can spend all your time trying to build a tool that somebody else built, that they built to try to solve as many problems for as many people as possible, because they're marketing their thing.
Yeah.
And so maybe it would help. But if you're good at spreadsheets and you can, use a spreadsheet to make your job better, faster, easier, solve a bunch of problems that other people can use it too, and then share it and everybody's in it and learns how to use, I mean, why not?
I'm telling you, the three things that I learned how to do in Excel that made me look like a wizard when it came to Excel. VLOOKUP,
Pivot tables.
VLOOKUP, concatenate, and pivot tables. Like those three things: VLOOKUP, concatenate, and pivot tables.
So everybody get out there, get on the YouTubes and look up those three things, and boom, you got value today.
Wizard.
You too can be an Excel wizard. For only $9.95, you can take our quick course on Excel wizardry.
Hey, while you're doing your course on the jargon of learning and helping people get better at understanding the language and vocabulary of the industry, maybe I do a quick stand-up course on VLOOKUP, concatenate, and pivot tables.
You should totally do that. Absolutely. Okay. What else do we got here? Let me just hit the other ones. Trending topics and reports. LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report of 2025. Discussions are circulating around the newly released data for 2025. Key insights include barriers to learning. Lack of time remains the number one barrier, but specifically managers and talent teams report being stretched too thin to support development. Yeah, two old stories basically being rehashed. But that's what they're right. That's what the data always shows. Internal mobility. There is a massive spike in organizations prioritizing internal mobility, basically moving current employees to new roles over external hiring, driven by tighter budgets and the AI skills gap. Now, if the HR department and legal could only get together and remove the barrier that says if you're going to do that, you have to also post it and screw over a whole bunch of people who would be good for that job and force them to apply for it and jump through all the hoops and check the box that says, yes, we tried to find somebody externally, but we already knew we were going to just move somebody internally over. If we could solve that problem, that would be awesome. Just move them over. I mean, why do they have to post it? Like, there's these rules, and it doesn't. None of it makes any sense.
None of it makes
Just move them into the new role.
Yeah, it's what's awesome is we talk about the importance of efficiency, and then we do that.
Yeah, crazy. I had a bit of a rant on LinkedIn yesterday. It was similar to that. It's like, why does the industry that claims to be the holy keepers of learning and what it is and what it looks like not see the entire world learning how to use AI live? It's right in our face. We're watching it. We're watching real time. We're watching the world learn a new skill. Are we supporting that? Are we saying positive things? Are we saying good job? No. We're a bunch of arrogant academic a-holes calling everything everybody creates slop. I'm sorry, it just drives me nuts.
But Brent, if you use colors like blue and yellow together in the way that you're communicating your nano banana image out there, are you making it less accessible to the world? And how dare you?
Yes. How dare us all?
Craig had a pretty good comment in here. He said the pardon me, bigger conferences are turning into advertising outlet over info exchange lately. And
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's a really tough balance. I don't think it needs to be a tough balance. I think people try to do too much. It's, answering the question, how do we fund it? How do we fund the ability to keep doing this thing? And in order to fund it, you have to have both people who are willing to pay to go to the event, and there's a cap. on the amount that someone's willing to invest. And you have people who are willing to sponsor an event, and there's a cap on how much they're willing to spend. And
Yeah.
then you have people who people who are going to work the event, and there's an expense associated with the number of people that need to be there in order to create the experience that you need to have. So there's this, it truly is a business. It's not a let's go, have some fun and see how this thing works out. Maybe the first year it might be let's go have some fun and see what we can do on a shoestring budget to see how this thing works out. But it's a tough balance, and unfortunately, as more and more consolidation happens in the space, the business aspect of it, I think, becomes much more important than the impact that it has on the end user, the people who are new and into it. I was not in the room when this happened, but I heard that over 90% of the people that went to the opening session at DevLearn rose their hands or stood up saying that this was the first time they had attended a DevLearn.
I heard the same thing.
I think we were in the same conversation with the person who shared that.
That could have been
it. and that's cool. So we were in the same place, same time, space. We heard the same thing and remembered. So now, so then you go through and you look at it, you're like, wow, 90%. Okay, well, there's going to be a bunch of people who don't go into that. Like all the people who've been around for a while, they probably didn't go to the opening session because the opening session, it just wasn't their thing. They were more focused on seeing a number of the people that they knew were in the same area. So let's just say 75% of the total participants went to the opening session. To have 90% of that 75% all be new means 2/3, my math is going to be off here a little bit, 2/3 plus or minus are all new people at an event like that. That's a lot of new people and a lot of change that's happening.
Yeah.
So Wendy was there. She said about 50%. So sometimes people observe things and their numbers are greatly exaggerated. But Wendy, Brent, and I weren't in that room. The person who said 90%, maybe they were up toward the front and they didn't look back to see.
Yeah. Even 50% though, right?
Still, I mean, it's a big number. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was saying yesterday, even at 50%, and then just talking to people and just hearing and overhearing certain conversations and talking with some of the vendors, there just are a lot of people who are just now getting into learning and development for the first time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just a thing. So that's why, one of the reasons why I thought it would be good to do this course. So I'm squeezing in this pilot course. It's pretty fast, pretty short cycle. And I'm just looking to get 10 to 20 people to join me, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, the 18th, to go through about a 4-hour version of it. It will still be packed with great value, and we're going to have a good time. I'm going to make sure that it's fun. We'll do a historic retrospective. We'll talk about all of the acronyms, the lingo, the semantics, the history of instructional design versus the history of the technology, how it all maps together, and why we have gotten to the place that we are today and what the future holds for us. So if you're new, we can give you a crash course in it and make you sound like a genius in just a few hours. There you have it. There's today's commercial. But I did want us to talk about this too real quick before we close out. The very last bullet point in today's Gemini news: business first L&D as 2025 draws to a close. Industry retrospectives from sources like Reddit and Learning News are identifying a shift from order taking to co-owning outcomes. L&D teams are increasingly being measured on business performance metrics rather than learning engagement stats. Now, Mike, what jumps out at you in this bullet point?
That Reddit is a source.
You know what's so funny though is that it's the source apparently for most LLMs, for training most LLMs. They get most of their information out of Reddit. That's how these things learn. So like if you were gonna like teach a child about the English language, you just send them to a dumpster fire worth of illiterate human beings and have them learn how to speak or put a sentence together. But it's like, so my point would be this: is it the actual business that's driving this change, or is it just the bubble that we're all in that's getting identified by these quote unquote news sources that they're identifying a shift? We've been talking about not being order takers and being mad that we're order takers for decades, and that we should be more focused on business outcomes. So I know it's not the industry that's just identifying this as a need. I'd be curious if it really is if the business is now starting to go, we kind of have been treating our training department like a McDonald's and just saying, hey, we need this, and we need this, and we need this, and we expect them to just crank it out. Maybe they could become a partner of ours, and maybe they have some value to add that could help us run the business better. That's what I want to know, because they make it sound like that's what's happening. And I'll be honest and say, I'm not buying it.
Yeah. So what happens if you click on the link in there? And I already turned the sharing off on it. And then Wendy's got a couple of different comments that she's dropping in here too, that I'll put up here.
Yes, business is driving change because we all need to make sure we are a benefit to the organization. I think it's just now being reported that we are doing it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So the looks like the link that they got this from is from something called SearTech Solutions. 5 mistakes learning and development teams make when measuring impact.
What does SearTech Solutions do?
Hold on one second. Let's figure it out.
Actually, here, click your share again because I turned it off. And it'd be good for everybody to see this as we go through it, because we're just asking questions. We're going a little bit deeper into the data. Can you click share again?
Yep.
There we go. Awesome. So, all right. So 5 mistakes. Let's take a look, even without even going into the detail of the mistakes, because I bet we could repeat some of those mistakes, or at least call out, like we could do a bingo card and everybody get their bingo card out. And if you've got the mistake on there, then somebody yell and shout bingo. We know how that'll work. What if we go in and just do a search for SearTech, or go to their About Us? Like, what's the...
Well, it's here. Yeah.
Why SearTech? Why SearTech? There we go. Perfect. Let's scroll. Oh, hold on. Come on now. Wait a second. SearTech is a company that sells a trusted system into the learning space. And in December of 2025, they're actually identifying that it's important that L&D teams are increasingly being measured on business performance metrics, which I imagine someplace in their learning management system in the data side of things, it shows some kind of dashboard that shows the change that happens inside the business, because we know that everybody puts their ERP data and the business data into the LMS, right? Because it's the single pane of glass.
Yeah.
If anybody is reading the transcript, just add sarcasm font.
Yeah. So, all right, you can turn the screen sharing off. We should probably wrap this up. But in wrapping this
Was
up,
that too harsh?
yeah,
I
let me
mean,
just
from the
say
from the
that
comment, like,
well, I'll wrap. I'll try to neutralize the threat a little bit. We don't mean to be this way. So here's one reason why this is going to occur. And it's sad that AI is picking up on it, but it's also nice that it's picking up on it too, because that's why this is done. So there is a movement towards, if you want to be seen in marketing, it's no longer SEO, right? It's generative AI engine optimization, or they call it GEO or something like that.
Yeah.
So what I do know that a lot of vendors and companies are doing is they are putting out a bunch of content that specifically covers very specific things that they want to be known for, that then, because just like SeerTech showed up because Gemini saw it and added it as a source. You want to be the source that Gemini, ChatGPT, all those people use when it's collecting information about a specific topic. It's the new marketing tactic of an AI world, and so it's the new form of SEO. So maybe they legit aren't just now identifying that it's a thing. It's a thing, and AI, because they just posted it maybe recently,
Yeah.
AI has assumed that since the date is current, it's rising it to the top because it's a current story, and therefore it's saying they've now identified it, and so it's skewing their desire for what they've put out there. So SeerTech people, very sorry, we don't mean to make fun of the story. We get it, we know what you're doing, and it's all good. Everyone needs to get it done, and it's a competitive world out there. So
Humor is humor because it's relatable.
It's real. Yeah, it is. It is real.
It is. I know. Well, and good on the folks at SeerTech to be able to get in there
Get
that
in
quick,
there, right? Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
how awesome would that be?
And maybe what we're doing is actually pointing out some of the, not necessarily the failures of AI, but just helping people to be more discerning about how they perceive the things that the AI is telling them. And I'll leave it at that.
How long do you think it'll take before we're in the news and the source is live with Brent and Mike? According to Live with Brent and Mike, this is an emerging trend. Old men shout at clouds.
What I want to know is how long before we start going 2 hours instead of just one, because
no, we're not going to do that.
We're at the top of the hour. We've just got to call this done. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Craig. Thank you. I think Iqbal was here earlier. Yeah, thank you for hanging out with us, Iqbal, if you're still hanging.
Thanks, everybody. So we'll do it again tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel.
Indeed, we will.
All right. I would love to see some comments. Everybody's got some things like burning questions that are top of mind, burning things that you're kind of working through. Let's see what those show up in the comments, or send direct messages over to Brent and I. I've got one that I really, the business side of L&D, which I know is going to tie to some of the stuff that you're working on. And it's like,
cool.
Maybe even just get into like, what is business?